There are moments in history when one man doesn't just challenge a nation, he rewrites its destiny. A brilliant student turned enemy of the empire, a grieving brother who transformed personal tragedy into political fire, a revolutionary whose pen was as dangerous as any weapon, and a leader whose dream would reshape the world for generations. This is the story of Vladimir Lenin, the man who toppled a monarchy, ignited a revolution, and created a system that billions would live under. A visionary to some, a tyrant to others, but to history, a force that changed everything. Before we begin, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon because what you're about to learn might change how you see the entire 20th century. Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov was born in 1870 in Siberia, in a family that valued education and progress. His early life was calm books, school, discipline, and promise. But everything changed when his older brother Aleksandr was arrested for plotting to assassinate the Tsar and hanged. Lenin never forgot that moment. It was the fracture that would define him. He wrote, "The most important thing is to never stop fighting," and from then on, he believed the system itself was the enemy. Let me ask you, if your own brother were executed by the government, would you choose forgiveness or revolution? Lenin chose revolution. As a young man, he devoured Marxist writings. While others studied law or business, Lenin studied class struggle and the anatomy of revolutions. His activism made him a target, and he was exiled to Siberia. But instead of breaking him, exile sharpened him. Year after year, he wrote, organized, and refined his theory of how to break an empire. He wasn't just reading Marx, he was rewriting him. He wanted a revolution faster, sharper, more disciplined. When World War I tore across Europe, Lenin saw what most people did in this war was the death sentence of old empires. He famously declared that the war should become a revolution, and in early 1917, Russia exploded. Hunger, strikes, and mutiny ended 300 years of Romanov rule. The Tsar abdicated. A shaky provisional government took over. Lenin, living in Europe, immediately recognized opportunity. Then came the event historians still debate. Germany allowed Lenin to return to Russia in a sealed train, hoping he would destabilize their enemy, and it worked. When Lenin arrived in Petrograd, he saw a nation drowning in chaos. He delivered the April thesis calling for peace, land, and power to the Soviets. He said, "There are decades where nothing happens, and weeks where decades happen." Russia was entering those weeks. The Bolsheviks gained momentum, aided by Lenin's discipline, strategy, and relentless pressure. By October, the moment was right. With precision and speed, Lenin orchestrated the October Revolution. The Winter Palace fell. The government collapsed. Lenin stood at the helm of the world's first communist state. But the victory came with darkness. To secure control, Lenin unleashed the Red Terror. Secret police, executions, arrests, and iron fists disguised as necessity. Supporters called it protection. Enemies called it tyranny. What do you think? Was this violence the cost of revolution or the birth of dictatorship? Civil war erupted between the Bolsheviks and the White Armies. Foreign nations intervened. Millions died from famine, disease, and violence. Lenin responded with war communism, seizing grain, factories, and private property. It kept the Red Army alive, but it crushed the people. By 1921, the nation was starving. Workers rebelled. Even sailors at Kronstadt, once Lenin's allies, demanded freedom. Lenin crushed them, but privately, he knew the state could not survive this path. He introduced the new economic policy, a partial return to markets and private trade. It was shocking to some, brilliant to others. Lenin proved he wasn't a rigid ideologue. He was a strategist willing to bend the rules to save the revolution. But while the country rebounded, Lenin's health collapsed. A series of strokes left him struggling to speak. From his weakened state, he grew suspicious of Joseph Stalin, who was rapidly consolidating power. Lenin warned the party that Stalin was too rude and dangerous. His final writings tried to block Stalin's rise, but they were ignored. Lenin died in 1924. His body was embalmed and placed in a mausoleum, turning him from a man into a myth. But his legacy remains divided. To some, he freed millions from monarchy and birthed a new world. To others, he created a system built on fear, censorship, and control. Lenin didn't just start a revolution. He created a blueprint that would define nations, spark wars, inspire movements, and shape the world for the next 100 years. One man with an idea powerful enough to change civilization itself.